Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Roasto with imaginary friend Jack and Darkosto. How are y'all doing out there today? Do you have your cup of coffee? I've got my decaf because we are doing an evening recording of the Roasto today. Hope that you guys are in a comfy spot. We got a lot of fun stuff that we're going to talk about today. So let's jump into it. Hey man, how you doing today?
I'm great. I'm actually, you said you had decaf. I'm still running pretty hot on the multi-shot latte I had earlier, the can of cold brew, and had a bottle of Mexican Coca-Cola. So
Nice.
I'm still riding on those fumes for a while.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, I like it. We went out a little bit earlier because we're getting new phones, and we went and got Shans all set up today.
It's funny that you said you're getting new phones, and my first thought was you're going to get a phone that you're going to wire in into your house or your apartment. I don't know why. Like, you going to get a rotary? Are you going to get, what are you going to get? Is it going to be cordless?
Yeah, it's going to be, like the old rotary phones that you had to like sit there. And if you mess up, you've got to start all over again. You know, it's going to take you 11 hours to dial 7 digits.
And you want numbers that are low. You want low numbers.
Exactly. Yeah, I want 00001. You know, it'll be good. It'll be
bottom
fun.
Or zero all the way at the end.
I don't remember.
The last one.
Probably.
Wow, 11111.
Yeah. It's probably the last one now that I think about it. You're right.
That would be the worst, having all zeros. Nobody would ever call you.
I know, right?
Like, you could be the coolest. Nobody would ever call you. And that's sad.
There'd never be that party line.
That's true. I remember that was a movie back in the day. It was Pillow Talk, and it was based upon party lines.
Really?
Yeah,
I haven't heard of this one.
Oh god, it's like an old movie. It's like 60s. It was in color. Yeah. Basically, it doesn't really matter. I don't know. It was in color, so there you go. That puts a pretty broad perspective on what year it was. It was in color.
Yeah, it was in color, you know. But was it in CinemaScope color or Technicolor or?
I don't remember. But I do know that it was it was in color, and B, it was a love interest that developed or something over the party line. Mm-hmm. Because I guess they were never getting off when the other person was like, it's my time at the party line. Get off the line. And then they ended up, I think, meeting up, and I think they fell in love. Maybe, I'm not really sure. I just know that it's a very vague set of description for that movie. But that was based upon that thing, that there was party lines.
Oh yeah. I guess I never got to experience the party line. You know. Sorry, hold on. One of my executive producers or production assistants most days, but today I think he might have some things to say, is trying to crawl all over my desk.
It's once again on the cast.
Yeah, for anybody who listened to last episode, it's Toe Beans. He's an explorer. How you doing there, bud? You having fun? Yeah?
Jingle. There he is.
Yeah, there he is.
I just want to also, by the way, it was CinemaScope.
Oh, you looked it up?
59 was Pillow Talk.
Oh, God.
The story of Jan Morrow, an interior decorator, and Brad Allen, a womanizing composer bachelor who share a telephone party line. When she successfully files a complaint on him for constantly using the line to woo his conquests, Brad decides to take a chance on Jan by masquerading as a Texas rancher, resulting in the two falling in love.
Now, hold on. Now he masquerades as a Texas rancher, you say?
Yes, that's yeah.
Oh my,
that's what he does. That's a thing that happened in a movie back in 1959.
You know, I got the thought in my brain that if that movie was titled the same thing today, it would be vastly different.
Pillow Talk would be very different.
Pillow Talk would be, I don't even think you'd be able to see that in a real movie theater, or I say real movie theater, but just a movie theater. I think that's what I
also think Pillow Talk is then a movie with it's like one of those uh Bridesmaids. The two of the actresses in Bridesmaids. Like some
Oh,
like
like
sleepover gone wrong though, but like hilariously wrong because they're having a hangout in their pajamas during the quarantine. And
yeah,
then
like
they
Melissa
shouldn't.
McCarthy and
Yeah,
all of
Lisa
them.
McCarthy. Yeah, and then basically they're in their pajamas, they're just hanging out, doing the pillow talk, and then somebody comes in, steals something, and then they end up either running or they're running after the person. I don't know, something along those lines.
It'll be like those like date night movies and oh,
Rom
there was one.
com.
Yeah, there was one of those that was actually really good. Surprisingly, it wasn't date night. It was game night. Game night with
Game night.
Jason Bateman, and a few others. But that one actually, like, I was like on a plane and I decided I would watch it because I was like, I got 4 hours to kill. Or no, that was actually when I was going to Korea, so I had like 15 hours to kill.
Wow.
And they had like the actual full cut of the film. Like it wasn't like how you go on like an airplane now and it's like well, nobody goes on an airplane right now, but like when people could fly,
Right.
they'd have like they'd PG-13ify like everything because you never knew who was you don't want your kid or something to like turn on like super bad or something like that. But I was like just blown away. Like they're like, oh, it's like the full like rated R version. Not that there's anything like too graphic. It's just like really bad language and some crass jokes and stuff. But it actually ended up like I thought, this will be something I can fall asleep to because you can't like on a. Have you flown internationally?
I have. Yeah, I did. I went to Sweden last year.
Oh, dude, that I would love to go to Sweden. That sounds amazing.
It wasn't.
Yeah. As long as you didn't end up in like a midsummer situation, but
No, it was pretty innocuous.
okay. But so that like when you're doing like international flights and stuff, like you kind of have to keep the windows down because of how high you're flying and how long it takes and like
I
the
didn't know
sunlight.
that. I just keep them down normally, so it's I can just sleep the whole time. But I didn't actually know that there was like this airplane code.
Oh, maybe like there was on our flight. Like
Or do they
we
like
were
actually
flying.
ask you to? Like,
Yeah, they came
oh,
overhead and they did it in like Chinese, Korean, and English. They were like, "Hey, put your windows down because it's a 15-hour flight. People need to sleep. We're gonna put on like the cabin lights that are like the nice dim blue or whatever, really calming. But they're like, it's gonna be sunny because of how we're flying, but." Because it's so long, we want people to be at maximum comfort. So for like I think all but the first and last hour we were flying, you had to keep them down.
oh,
Yeah,
interesting.
it was really cool actually.
I mean, it makes sense because obviously, you want to be able to keep everybody happy and
Right.
not, and it's also gets way too hot.
Yeah. I was also like, I'm not gonna lie, I was drunk half that flight.
I don't know how you people
Because
can do that. How people drink and get like inebriated enough on a flight. Like I don't
well,
mind, going and getting something home, obviously,
yeah.
or whatever, or you go out with a friend or whatever. But on an airplane, for some reason, I always felt like if it was like a super hangover because of like all the I don't know what it was. I don't know if there's any actual science behind this. I just know that I felt way worse.
Well, it's the altitude, yeah.
Yeah.
No, well,
Did you
I
get
want
drunk
to.
on the flight?
Yeah, so I want to clarify. I want to
What's
clarify.
it like being rich? I just want to ask you. What's it
Oh
like
no
to
no no.
did
Oh,
you pay
I
$30 for
didn't.
drinks?
I didn't pay for a single drink.
No, tell us. How do you do it?
So I actually learned this from a guy I was going over there with, and so first of all, let me preface like I have no problem flying normally. Takeoff and landing for me, little iffy. I'm kind of like I know these guys do their job. Whoever our pilots are, they're obviously qualified, but still always rough. But once I'm in the air, I'm typically good, right? But this was my first time. It was the longest flight I've ever taken. First time international. And I was just like, I am like so freaking nervous, right? Like I didn't at that point, like I had just found out, oh, I'm not even going to be able to look out. Like I'd been psyching myself out. Like I'm going to look out the window and there's just going to be like ocean or like clouds and I'm not going to be able to see like land. And I have been on the ocean before, like on boats. And like I went on a cruise at one point. like 10 years ago. But it was like, I was just freaking myself out. Right. And this guy that we went with, he was like, don't worry, I got you. And I was like, well, what do you mean? He goes, I have this trick that I've been doing, and he's flown internationally like 20 times, right?
Right.
And he's been to Korea before. And he goes, there's this thing that I've been doing anytime I fly. And what he did was he went to the convenience store, like, or, like one of like the shops that they have in the airport. And he
Mhm.
bought this massive bag of Skittles and a massive bag of like chocolate. I think it was like Twix or something like that, right?
He's got Skittles and Twix. Okay.
Yeah.
All
And
right.
I'm like, okay, so what? You're just gonna like hype me up on sugar, so I'm gonna be even worse. He goes, no, 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 this isn't for you. He he gets in front of me as we're getting on the plane because we were like, there was like four of us and all of our seats were pretty close together. And we were all in the same boarding group. And as we get up there, he looks at the first like flight attendant who's like greeting you, and he
Mhm.
takes the bag of Skittles and he goes, this is from both of us. And she was like very thankful and everything. And she takes it. And as we're walking, he goes, that was first class. That was to say thank you. We get back to our seats. We're getting comfortable. And our stewardess is walking down and he takes out the chocolate and he goes, hi, I just wanted to say this is from both of us. And he motions to me. And he paid for our first round of drinks, and then from then on, like they were like our best friends. Like they were like, my cup never ran like dry.
What?
Like, yeah, like it was ridiculous. And like they were just like, oh, don't worry about it, don't worry about it, you guys are awesome, thank you. And I started thinking about it and I'm like, yeah, like they're doing this flight like a couple times a week. This has got to be a hard job. Like, and people don't think about like the flight staff a lot of time and like kind of the junk they have to put up with. Not that like, I mean, it was an amazing flight overall, don't get me wrong, like they were
What?
the
I don't. What this guy says
yeah
works for him every time. Pretty
yeah,
much?
he's like pretty much every time it works.
What?
And yeah, and I've
It
done it
seems-
since then.
You've done it
Like
yourself?
I've done it like just like regular flying, like just like I've gone like down back to Texas and stuff to visit family and stuff. And
Yeah.
I messed up the first time and I just got like a regular sized thing
Yeah.
of like, chocolate or whatever. And it didn't really work. And then I was like, well, what if I messed up and I need to get the bigger bag? And I got the bigger bag and I did first class. And then I did our personal. It's almost like you thank the person in first class,
Right.
and then you thank the person who's like in your area, and they talk to each other. And they're like, oh yeah, hey, no, they were super nice. And they gave us, and you say, this is for you and like anybody you'd like to share it with. And yeah, 15 hours. I was drunk because I didn't really like think about it. Like they would just come over and like, oh yeah, like I didn't, because they're sneaky on that flight, like on that airline. They are good. Like sometimes you don't even know because everybody's asleep, and so they got to be quiet. They're super chill. Everybody speaks very softly, but just in a way that you can still hear them.
It's like some
And
underground, like back alley liquor running thing going on here on airplanes.
For like 10 minutes, I thought, oh my God, I'm in the mob now. Like I'm in like the airline mafia.
This is crazy.
But it worked. Yeah. Like it straight up worked. I was surprised, and it's worked since then. I don't abuse the privilege, and if it's,
you gotta respect the privileges. Right.
yeah. And like, it's, I think more than anything, it's just about like, I was like, I try to be friendly to the staff and everything. Like, I don't want to be that guy, like, and I'm just like, hey, this is for you. Like, I never actually expect it to work, to be honest, but it has. Like, and I don't usually drink
because it works, or else you wouldn't do it.
Yeah, like I just expect like at this point, it's just like I'm trying to be nice, and then like I don't even drink on most flights. It was like that was like the one flight where I was like, I'm just so nervous that I need something to take the edge off. And other times it's like people like they just come by and they're like they just double check on me more, or they'll they'll like offer me like a few things like, oh, do you have headphones? Like they're making sure. And they're like, these are for you. Like, don't worry about it. Like sometimes they'll charge different airlines. And I'm just like, cool, I can do this.
The whole monetary system is out of whack now. You just give people Skittles and chocolate.
Yeah.
And just top you off.
Yeah. Everybody out there who's listening, if you use this, like email us and let us know that it's worked, because I want to know if it works for other people too. I know it works for one other guy.
They're gonna track down the guy. They're gonna track down patient 0, and they're gonna find out who it is. They're gonna go after him for telling.
Okay.
People are on airplanes are gonna be like, oh, wait a second,
it's that guy.
and they're like, that's what they're doing? I've been getting chocolates and Skittles all these years, and they're doing it because they want free booze? Well, I'm putting my foot down. I'm not going to be used. I need to be respected.
I mean, again, like you got to do it. You got to be nice about it. You can't just be like, give me free stuff. But
people love free stuff.
They do.
You know what's crazy to me though? Having said that people love free stuff, I've recently, some new games came out, and there was it's Terraria had this big update, but it doesn't really matter. The game's $10, right? So it's not that much money. People literally will go on and be like, "Listen, don't pirate the game. Let's buy it for you. Like I'll literally pay you the game so that the developers can get paid for it, and you can have the game." People, it's funny because people actually, when it comes to music these days, and it comes to games, they're so easily purchased that people will still buy them, even though people can go out of their way to pirate games or pirate music. People now, because of how easy it is, which is funny to think about, this whole system was all up in the air. The system was falling, and all they really needed to do was just make it easy to buy it.
Yeah, and then like all the pirating, like now that you say that, like I'm thinking about it, and like I actually haven't heard of anybody pirating a movie or a game or like a show in, I can't even remember how long.
You hear about it less often, because I honestly, when it comes to renting a movie, you know what? If I really wanted to, I could probably find the movie and not pay for it. Having said that, I could also just type the name in my remote control on my. We have Fire TV, and then find it and rent it for like $3, $4, $5, depending on how new the movie it is. And it's just like, okay, I mean, I'll just do that and be supportive, but it's easy. I don't have to worry about, the issues that happen when you try to pirate stuff.
Oh yeah.
Like there's always problems, even if you do. Besides the whole thing, you're illegally doing it, which is one thing. But
sorry, I had an alarm go off.
That's okay. Oh, is it the end of podcast? All right, well, it's been fine. All right, it's been fun. 21 minutes.
Yeah, we'll see you next time now. No, it's medication time.
Gotta take the meds.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, like people like I feel like I don't know. I've had times where I was young and I had some we watched movies that we got through darker channels you're not supposed to get in the back alleys and in websites and stuff like that. You're not supposed to go.
Were you friends with those people who were like, hey, if you take this camera into the theater, I'll give you $50 if you film the whole thing?
Oh my God, I swear I've seen a movie that was filmed like that. And I remember it was Age of Ultron. And you can say what you want about that movie. I know people don't seem to like that one, like one of the worst ones. It was okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
The first time I saw it was on what looked to be filmed on a camcorder. It was just so bad. Yeah, I was just like, yeah, oh, cool. It's free. It looks awful. I would rather pay a few bucks and I'll watch it and it looks good.
Yeah.
I watched it the second time and there was so many things that popped out that I had no idea happened because it was just that bad of quality. And I was like,
oh man,
that's unfortunate.
Which I feel like is like at that point, they're going out of their way to make it bad quality because cameras these days, even like your phone camera, even in low light,
like in movies, invest in a good camera.
Right.
At least you have good quality. You're right. You can pay $400 or $500 for a pretty good quality. You get it yourself some kind of power supply so the camera doesn't overheat, right? And then you get a good lens or two. You're dropping, $600-800, something like that. But you're getting your quality's going out the roof, and you're going to be selling more bootlegs.
Exactly. Not that we're saying do that. Nobody do that.
People will be talking about you as the bootlegger. Like, go to that bootlegger. Don't go to that bootlegger. Go to this guy because his movies look good.
Don't
but
don't do it. But don't do it. But if you're gonna do it, because we can't stop you if you're going to do it. Like, do it. What's that old phrase? And, you know, like don't half it or
Yeah,
whatever. If you're going to do something, do it all the way,
go
you
full
know?
on. Yeah, like
Yeah. Yeah.
clapping.
Exactly. Just like clapping.
Just like clapping. If you're gonna go and do something, you might as well do it the best and fullest you can. So clap the loudest, fullest clap you can. If you're gonna bootleg movies, do it good. Do a good job.
Nice. So, you brought up games a minute ago. And
Yeah.
yeah, I actually had a question for you because I know, like here over the last couple of days, you did some special streams about because they released Minecraft Dungeons, right?
Minecraft Dungeons, yeah, that just came out a couple of days ago.
Yeah, were you doing special streams on that, or were you doing Terraria? Or I actually didn't get to see this week.
So yesterday, the night that night, Dungeons came out. Minecraft Dungeons came out. So yesterday and today,
Nice.
I streamed the game from the beginning, and yeah, it's been a lot of fun. It's a cool game. It's an action RPG game,
Okay.
like Diablo, or there's another one, Path of Exile.
Oh yeah.
Lots
Okay,
and lots. Wilson is another one that came out not so long ago, but really, really cool game.
Yeah, like I don't know too much about it. Like I haven't like actually had a chance to like sit down and like watch somebody like do a playthrough or something like that. Or I guess you say it's more like a Diablo style game. Like how does it like? I mean, you have a history with Minecraft, right? Like, and I mean,
Yeah, that was the game that I started streaming on, and building packs and things like that, and modding it and all that stuff. So yeah, that's like probably one of the most hours put in Minecraft. And it's interesting because the Minecraft is this huge game, like millions and millions of people play it, like every device.
Yeah.
And they're working on trying to do like longevity for the company Mojang, because obviously if Minecraft can go years and years, it's like what 10 years old. It's still going pretty strong.
Oh, it's still going strong.
Still gaining momentum, which is crazy to be that old of a game and still
going
so well.
Yeah.
So what they're doing now is they released a board game. They got Minecraft Dungeons that just came out, and they've done all these cool things to try and do new stuff. So not just this one product. Now there's this line of Minecraft universe. It's like the cinematic universe or the game universe of Minecraft almost. And they like books and things like that, and they try to like expand on it, but it's a really interesting way because it's just like this universe, and it's all built upon the most simplest thing. So I think about Minecraft, and I think about, why is this game so popular? Because it's so simple. Like you play games that have the same mechanics. You craft, you mine, you walk around, you explore, you kill off enemies and whatnot with your sword and all that. But there's so many games that do that. There's so many games that do that in a realistic look, because obviously Minecraft is not realistic looking. Obviously,
the 8-bit.
It's blocky. But when you mine, it's like one block. You mine this block, and you want to make a tunnel. You mine these other 2 blocks or whatever in front of you, and you keep going. Other games, when they do like what they call voxel, is like it's the way you mine. It's just not as simple. There's more steps to it. It doesn't look as clean.
Right.
It's like Minecraft is very simple, like Legos. Legos are clean.
Right. And like there's definitely an ease of access. Like, and like, I mean, I grew up gaming, I was always like a console and stuff like that, because I could never afford a PC that was like really good enough to do any like, actual gaming. And then like Minecraft came out, and I was like, wait, my PC can handle this. And it's just like basic. Like I don't need a updated graphics card or any of these things. Like I can just literally pay it one time. I get all the updates as long as my account's active, and I can play this on anything. And like now you can play it on, like you said, like any device. Like you can play it on a tablet. I think like you can play like Minecraft Stories or something like that on there.
Yeah, you can do tablets, phones, everything. It's funny that you say that real quick, is that I used to play Minecraft on my browser during my lunch break.
Yeah,
because there was a browser version of it, and that's
right, when it was still in Java.
It was to run. Yeah. I mean, it is still in Java. There's two versions now. two different
Okay.
code bases. There's like the Bedrock version, which is essentially every other version for right now is basically the Bedrock version,
Okay.
written in a different language. But then you still have the Java version, which is like they're both updated together.
Hmm.
Um, and but yeah, Java is the PC version, the main PC version, I think. And then, but yeah, it used to be on your browser, and that's just to think about how ridiculously easy it is to run like that. You
Right.
could load up and do the same stuff like mine and do all your crafting and all that kind of stuff. It's just
Well,
it's nuts to think about that.
yeah, and I think that simplicity, like you were saying too, like it it bred like a modding community, which isn't like a new thing. Like, I mean, people have been modding like Skyrim and all these other games and stuff for forever. But this
People
was
used to
something
mod
that,
Doom. That was a big thing. Remember?
right? Yeah, like people exactly. But then like you had this, which was like, but we could make this simple thing so much like it's so simple. We can literally do anything to it.
You know what's
And I
interesting
think
about the simplicity, though? I know I keep
what's
like
that?
interrupting you.
No, you're good. You're good. You're good.
I keep like sparking this thought as we're going further. The thing about Minecraft is, and it's not just Minecraft. It's any game that looks like this, like super, not low quality, but just it's simple in how everything's put together. Right? There's only it's the number of pixels, you can count them because there's so few, and they're so big and all that. So
right.
when you make a mod in a game, like if you take GTA 5 is a very realistic looking game. So
Right.
the bar for modding that game, if you want to put in any kind of asset or graphics, or you want to put anything that is supposed to be placed in the world, it has to look like that, or else it stands out and it looks terrible.
Right.
So you need to have that level of graphic design, or know somebody that you can work together with. And a lot of
Yeah.
modders
Very
don't necessarily work
detailed.
together. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very detailed. Minecraft, you don't really need to worry about that. Minecraft can be so, you can be a terrible artist, and lots of people just that's something they have to do. They're a great programmer, but they're not great artists, and they
Right.
but it's easier because the bar is so low that you can do something with, and it looks pretty good, or you know you
Mhm.
can learn to kind of work around it, and it's still something that is more easily achieved. So it's easier to get into modding when it comes to visual stuff, Minecraft,
Right.
than it is for a lot of other games, and that's why, in my opinion, it's one of the main reasons why it's such a big modding community.
Right. And like I said, that's kind of what I was leading into was like because it's that. I mean, it's like a great starting place and a great place to, build and hone your skills. And like even if like you said you're not the greatest artist, you can still do something and you can see it physically appear on the screen. And like that's kind of bred, I think, into the longevity. And there's like that community is more just inviting. And like there's so many people who are like, this is my first time doing this, and you have people who are doing it and they're like, well, I will mod GTA 5 or like I said Skyrim or anything like that, and think they're really good, but they're almost on the same level here. And like they're able to piggyback off each other. And like this guy had a really good starting point, but he's not a great artist, but I'm a really good artist. I just don't know much about coding or like getting it into the thing. And like it really, I think that is a thing that has like led to this longevity and this success of the game.
Yeah, I would agree.
Plus again, it's a really fun game. I mean, I
It's a fun
play,
game. It's simple,
yeah,
but it has some depth to it. You know, it's like not just,
yeah,
you can put in a lot of hours and still, experience some new things after many, many hours.
yeah. And if you ever get bored with whatever you're doing, you can always start over really quick, and
You could, yeah.
it's a whole new experience,
You
which
can
is
mod and
amazing.
play something completely different.
Yeah.
So, but that's so we got kind of side over into the actual like game of Minecraft itself. But yeah, we were talking about how Dungeons came out, Minecraft
Right.
Dungeons, and that is a game that is like Diablo, like Path of Exile, like the classic ARPG, but
Mhm.
it's set in like the Minecraft universe, so to speak. So all the maps, they're all built as if you could probably go in for the most part and build these maps in your Minecraft world, because they're all built to be that same graphic style.
That's
And all
cool.
the
Yeah.
characters that you play look like, look like a skin that you could go find or make yourself, for your own character. Enemies, they're
That's
all the
cool.
classic, enemies for the most part. So it's all like in the world of Minecraft, and it seems like it would be kind of, your first thought was like, really? Like that seems kind of weird, and then you actually get to play it, and they managed to do this really neat thing where they took that simplicity that we were talking about, but they put it into an ARPG, but it's still fun. But there isn't like, I'm not having to sit down with spreadsheets and figure out, how I can squeak out 0.5% more damage so I can beat this boss.
Right.
It's like, it's not really about that.
Right.
I mean, and you can get into it to be a bit more, you can squeak out some of those extra damage or make you or attack faster or something, whatever. But for the most part, it's just this simple game that's about just like going through maps, finding cool loot, killing cool bosses and enemies, and you can play by yourself or up to I think 4 people. And
that's cool.
But it's been a really fun game because
Nice.
it is the other cool thing is that when you're playing and you're streaming it, it's you have something in that same universe. A lot of people will probably watch it because of the bridge from Minecraft.
Right.
You're into Minecraft, you're into those kind of games. It's a good game to bridge into.
Yeah.
Especially when you get burnt out of playing just Minecraft. It's nice to have a little something else, but still has that kind of
same feel.
Yeah, same feel, but those people that are also into it because they're like, oh, interesting, I like to play these games, but that seems, I'll check it out.
Yeah.
So people might actually be more interested to initially look at it because of that.
Right. No, I will be interested to see in the next couple of months, like how the game progresses, how it kind of impacts the community and just what all it does. And like, does this respark, like even more renewed interest in the original game, or, does it spark all these other new things? Cause I mean, like you were saying earlier, like Minecraft it's been around for 10 years now, and it's got such a huge, like, just like, it's like a pop culture icon.
Yep.
Like you can't go to Target or any like store without seeing like a Minecraft shirt for kids or like toys and things like that, or, like their own, like, yeah. And so it's going to be interesting to see like what it does. Is this just going to be like just another addition to that world, or is it going to, like I said, respark some interest in the original game? I feel like
they have a good team of people that either sit down or that at least have it on their mind that when they put anything out, it should follow these core tenets of does it follow the initial simplicity, or does it follow this feel of the original game? Anything we put out needs to follow that. They all need to feel like they belong in the same, like they were designed together. It's like when you watch DC movies or versus the no, it's actually, let me take that back. When you watch the new Star Wars movies versus watching and you watch them together versus watching the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because they sat down with Marvel and they planned things ahead.
Right.
So there's cohesion. Whereas the Star Wars movies on their own individually, I think we've talked about this, felt they were good. They're cool movies. Were they good Star Wars movies? Maybe not. But they're cool
but
on their own.
They're cool like standalones.
Yeah. And obviously there's some things that had to tie them together that wouldn't make sense if they were standalone, but
right.
They could have benefited from planning them out, sitting down ahead of time and saying, here's the overarching goals of what we want to do over 3 or however many movies, and we're going to make that happen by doing by planning. And then but it feels so disjunct, and it feels obviously that there's so many different voices and so many there's so many different choices by just these conflicting perspectives. And then you have Marvel that seems like, for the most part, it's that somebody sat down and said, here's 10 years and let's talk about it and let's make this work. So it's like Minecraft is kind of approaching it almost in that sense, is that they want the voice of all these things they do when they put out to feel like they belong in the same place. So it's cool because I think a lot of games or a lot of movies, like we said, they suffer from this thing where it's like, it doesn't feel like it belongs in this in these games. Dark Souls is a good example of this. Dark Souls, there's so many Souls-like games. There's Dark Souls 1, 2, 3. There's Bloodborne.
I just finished one called Code Vein.
Code
Yeah,
Vein, yeah,
like
yeah. So
yeah,
that style of game. Well, Dark
yeah.
Souls 1 was a great game.
Hmm.
It came out, and that was the first. That was the first one. It's really nostalgic for a lot of people. Really cool boss fights and really cool lore. And Dark Souls 2 came out, and there's a whole number of reasons as to why people don't like it, but that's thought to be by a lot of people the worst one out of the whole series,
Right.
because the way they just changed the game, and they didn't want to do the same thing. They
Hmm.
wanted to go out and they wanted to do something that was evolved. They wanted to do something that felt different, so you're not playing the same game twice. But that's the thing that makes it in people's minds the worst, because it isn't those same things that they loved in the first one. But
Right.
having
It's too
said that,
different.
yeah, and it was a lot slower, a lot more
Hmm.
methodical with how you approached situations. Like, you just couldn't jump in and rush in. You had to be a little bit slower and be a little more defensive. So the problem, though, is that Dark Souls 2 isn't really a great Souls game, or Dark Souls. It's not a great Dark Souls game, but it's a cool game. Just
Right.
not
Right.
when in the whole realm of
In the
Dark
lineup.
Souls. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that just reminded me of that too. How it's like another thing where, maybe you don't know you're going to sit down and do these things ahead of time, but it is nice to sit down, having made that first one, and saying, how can we make the second one different, evolve it, move further, and do new things, but also make it feel like it belongs. Then you sit
Um,
down and you're like, this is an extension from the last one.
right. I'm sitting here like nodding my head because I'm like, I would love to get my hands on like the series Bible that like Marvel has and just look through it. Like that's eventually going to be like a piece of filmmaking history. Like just like the overall, like I'm sure it's like multiple volumes of just like this is how these things connect and this is how like these conversations went and like literally plotting out that 10 years. And I'm it's something that you learn about in like television is like everybody, like every show worth its salt is going to have like this, what they literally call it the series Bible. And like there's a list of rules for the world that you have built. And it's like, okay, if you want to put something in this, you want to write a story for this world, or you're going to be directing something that goes on in this universe for this show, these are like the 20 rules you have to follow.
It's like your
These
style
are,
guide.
yeah, very much so. And like they'll plot out seasons and like they did this for Breaking Bad. Their social media team for Breaking Bad was really cool about like showing you some behind the scenes stuff. And like literally like they would plot out it was a really cool image. It was they would take index cards, right? On these big like cork boards.
Mhm.
And you would have like 8 boards full of index cards that all had like jammed packed with writing, right? And each corkboard was an episode. And then above that, or like somewhere off to the side, there was an even bigger corkboard full of notes. That was your season. And like they all matched up. It was really freaking cool to look at if you're like a film nerd like me. And like everything had to match, everything had to line up. And I mean, you look at that show, and I mean, people are still talking about it. People are still rewatching Breaking Bad. And it's things like that that really make or break a show or a game or really anything like that's going to be more than just like a one shot, I feel.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's, I would, like I said, I would love to get my hands on the Marvel series Bible. Anything from, Mojang and their team, because again, like you said, like they've obviously sat down and talked about it, and it shows, which is really cool.
It's what's interesting is that Breaking Bad is a cool thing, which is they know that I think it was 5 seasons they did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they didn't try to like milk it
No,
beyond
no,
that.
they had an end goal.
Yeah, they knew that they wanted to do a multi seasons.
Mm-hmm.
They knew where they were going. They knew how to get there, or at least they knew some of the points where they needed to hit. But there's just too many. But that show did that really well. There's so
Mm-hmm.
many times where shows just try to keep going.
Oh
I
yeah,
remember X Files got ruined from that whole thing. Like they've just tried to
yeah,
keep
yeah.
going. Like they could have
They
stopped a season early, and then
they
they tagged on the new seasons
Which I
Like
haven't even seen. Like I couldn't.
I
Like
don't know if I want to. I'm a huge X Files fan. I love X Files. I love the
yeah.
whole thing. And I love the show. I've watched the series like twice now.
Mhm.
And actually, well, that's just like when it was on Netflix. But I watched it
Right.
twice. When it was on TV, I used to watch it all the time. That's like the thing I watched on Sunday night, I think it was. And I was like in
Nice.
bed before school on Monday. Watch X Files. And the movies, there's two movies.
Right.
And one of them fits in the series. The movie is like bred for season 5, I think, and then the one is supposed to
Yeah,
take
like
place afterwards.
yeah,
They're both great. The second movie is more of a standalone thing that doesn't really
right.
tie into the whole overarching arc of the show.
Right. Yeah.
It's like a fun, like extended episode.
Right.
The new seasons came in, and the second to last, because there's 2 new seasons.
Okay.
They did
Yeah.
one, and then they came back into the second one afterwards. The second, I've heard nothing but bad things about them.
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
if I want to watch them.
Yeah. It's kind of like like nobody talks about them now too. Like they were huge. Like I remember the marketing for all the new X Files stuff,
Right.
and like everybody was so hyped. Like they were. It was really like everybody's like, yeah, I want to see this. This is going to be so cool. And I even bought into some of the hype, and I was like, I want to let this go because it was supposed to be just like a mini series, basically, like a 1 season thing.
Yeah, and it
And
was also short too. So it was like just like a
yeah,
number of like 6 or something episodes like put together to extend it out.
yeah, and then like it's gone. Like you don't hear about it anymore. Like nobody
Yep.
talks about it, and
Yep.
it's like I saw something the other day that the same thing happened with Game of Thrones. Like
I was thinking about as you were talking, I'm glad that you said this because Game of Thrones was in the back of my mind when it comes to knowing when to end, but also it followed this arc that was predetermined, and then when there was no material to go from, they were left. You were left
yeah,
with what the actual potential was of the writers.
and it didn't go so well.
Right. Because if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken, I've heard this and I've seen this. I don't know how much it was, but lines of dialogue in the show were actually pulled straight from the books. Like they were the exact same wording and everything.
Oh yeah, that
So
would
they
not
had,
surprise me.
so they had in a number of ways they had pulled directly from. There's the whole. I don't know if this is really a spoiler. There's the Night King. It is, but it's there's certain care. Okay, so this is the whole movie versus book thing. Some things you can do and you can write in a book and have those like the ideas or this the way a character or the way this idea or this enemy or this this antagonist is done that won't work well in a TV show or in a movie. So that whole Night King character was not really. It was kind of set up to be better for TV, and
Right.
I don't necessarily know if it didn't really bother me. I wasn't like, oh, book's way better because of you can't go. It's not 1-to-1. You have to do something a little bit different to properly portray it on a screen.
Yeah, there's always give and take.
Right. So some of those things they obviously had to change, or they did change, and I felt they were fine. But you're right. You ever looked at people take seasons of Game of Thrones, and they show the user ratings or they show the critics ratings, and they do them in a big graph, and it goes top down. It goes so left to right is seasons 1 through 8, and then so that's left to right. Top down is episodes 1 through whatever. So then the first 6 seasons, they're all like ridiculous. They're all green, high,
Right.
almost 10s, if not like I think 9.9. It gets to at one point. There's a rating of 9.9.
Yeah.
Every once maybe here and there you see like a 7 or a high 7 or something, some lower number, an 8. So
Yeah, but it's still
obviously-
high.
Yeah, it's very high. Considering that's like triple some other TV shows get.
Yeah.
So it's still pretty high. And then he gets a 7. And then it's just like now it's all yellowish, except for like 1 or 2 episodes. And then the last season just like red.
Yeah. And it's like the quote I read the other day like really made me like it really illustrates it is the last season of that show was so bad it erased it from pop culture history. Like,
It's true.
that's
Game of Thrones is so big, and that nobody wants to bring it up.
especially right now when people are like ripe for things to like watch and rewatch. Like, I
I
mean,
don't want to watch it again just because the last season exists.
exactly. Like, and I feel like there's so many people exactly like that. And I wasn't like, I'm not a Game of Thrones fan. I know that's kind of like blasphemous to say, like, but like I watched the first season. It wasn't really my thing. And I love like, like Lord of the Rings and things like that. Just something about the show didn't speak to me, but like, I respect this show because of everything that it was doing. And like, just the impact, and I followed it. Like, I know the story. Like I've
You also, I feel like you as somebody who loves film have to also respect the fact that HBO does this insanely wonderful thing of being hands off.
Oh yeah.
In this situation, they were way too hands off because they should have seen the show going in the direction it was, and they should have stopped it.
And I think the biggest thing that for me is like, just from a writing standpoint, is the thing that really I think killed that show in the water on arrival. Like, it was DOA from the moment it came in, was because the source material wasn't done. The author had very openly at that point said, like, we're doing this show, I'll finish the books eventually. And then like halfway through the show, he's like, I don't want to finish them, and he's not writing them anymore. But because they went in and they weren't finished, they didn't pick an end goal. And shows that don't have an ending in mind flounder at some point. They're going to. Lost did it. The Walking Dead has done it.
Oh my God, The Walking Dead. I'm actually so glad you brought that up. God, I used to love that show. I used to watch that when it came out every week. And my roommate and I would like sit down, grab some popcorn, and be really into it. Like, everybody would do something. You're like, no, why are you doing that? Or like, oh my God, so dies, or something like that. And you just get so into it. And then it started going and going and going. And I was like, what the heck is happening to this show? This is so bad. I can't handle it anymore.
And like, I've been following it. Like, I've been a fan since it started. I still watch.
Going. That was like, I swear to God, that was like 50 years ago. It's still on.
It's, season 11. And I watch it because I love the comics. I loved the first season. Second season's hard, but third season, fourth season were pretty good. And then it started to flounder. But they've had these moments of like pick back up, and like when they brought in Negan and everything, like that was a good season. It's a hard season to watch, but it's a really good season. I think that was season 6, or maybe even later. I don't remember. But like now it's like, I get what they're doing. I see like the new directions that they're going with, but I have not been excited to watch a show, like watch an episode in 2 seasons. And I'm like, I want to stick with this show because I think it's great and I think it still has potential. But again, like, they don't have an end goal. And
right. It's going to go until somebody finally says, all right, we're pulling the plug.
Yeah. And,
like, all right,
and I think they've kind of started to get that, especially now that the comics are done, which that's a topic for a whole nother episode. Just like the way the comics ended, I was like, okay. But now that those are over and they have started, like, there's going to be a theatrical movie because of the ending of one of the seasons. They're doing like Walking Dead in the theater, which is going to be really interesting to see how they do. And I think there's a couple of things like that are going to be really cool, like these offshoots that they're doing. But the show, I'm like, it can't keep going. Like, it's got to stop. And I think they've started to realize that because they're starting to like wrap up a few threads here and there.
It's gonna keep going. I said I think they're gonna make it keep going because remember zombie movies were a big thing back a long time ago, and that was the big thing. Everybody's making zombie movies, and then it wasn't cool anymore. Then it became cool again, right?
And it's just gonna ride the wave.
Keep doing the show until the zombie thing becomes cool again. They're gonna be like, "Hey, we were here the whole time. This is us."
You remember us?
Yeah.
You got to go suffer through all that stuff that we put out, and
It's,
so you can get to the good stuff again. No, no,
here's
no,
the
go
box
back.
set. Here's the box set. There you go. Watch it.
Well, so I just remembered, and I apologize, but you had actually asked me to remind you about something, for this episode, and I
Oh.
don't know. We can keep it for another episode, or
Oh,
we can talk
remember.
about it.
You don't
Yeah.
even have to. You have to tell me what it is. You were going to ask. I asked you to remind me of all of those creepy Reddit threads that I read
Yes.
when I'm in bed and the lights are out and I'm the only one awake and I'm sitting there just like, what was that noise? What was it?
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's a good transition from Walking Dead kind of creepy stuff to creepy Reddit.
I love this stuff. I will go and it's on the Ask Reddit subreddit.
Mhm.
Every so often you'll get a post that's like, hey everybody, what's the creepiest thing that you've ever experienced when you're, and it's like camping. You're like, well, this has got to be good, even if it's real or not.
Yeah.
It's the creepiest stuff. Can you imagine being out in the middle of the woods somewhere and you hear something that sounds like, somebody walking towards you, or you're walking through the woods and there's just like this half burned down house, and then like you hear stuff around you, or like that's why like the whole thing about Blair Witch Project. Could you imagine like that I mean, kind of stuff?
I used to go looking for that kind of stuff. Like I have camping stories like that. Yeah. So like
we should go. I've always wanted to go to a thing, and like in the middle of like some old abandoned place or some haunted place.
Yeah.
And I've always wanted to do that. And I've never gotten to it.
Well, so I don't know if I've told you, but Shan and I do another podcast that's called the Shackcast, and we talk about
another podcast.
Yeah, I do too.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow. Without me?
I know. But I want to have you on a guest. I want to have you on as a guest for that one. But we talk about stuff like this. Like, it's a horror themed podcast because we're both really big into like that kind of stuff. And
sure,
we're into the paranormal and we like horror movies. But one of the things that we want to do is like basically start a YouTube channel where we go do this kind of stuff. Like, we just go to a supposedly haunted place and just hang out there. Like, it's not about like proving if ghosts exist or anything. Like, there's tons of stuff like that. What we want to do is just like, hey, this place is supposedly haunted. Let's go set up camp there, chill out, film ourselves, film the reaction, talk about the history of the place a little bit. If something creepy happens, cool. If not, we got to have this really cool experience. And like, we want to like just go around the state for right now. But like, we were talking about like, we want to bring some of our friends along on this, because especially people who are like open-minded and like people who, want to experience things like this. Because again, Shan's got stories, I've got stories. This is stuff that we've been into. We've kind of sought out, at times in our life. And
sure.
Yeah, like, so if we, after all is said and done and the world kind of hopefully gets back to some semblance of like,
you
hey,
don't
we can go outside.
Yeah, you don't want to catch anything from ghosts. I got you.
Yeah.
Distance yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Just because you're dead doesn't mean I need to be close to you.
Right. You gotta back off.
I want somebody to put that on a shirt now. Yeah, and like if we get to like, yeah, you say you want to do this, like I will happily take you on one of the trips with us.
Let's do it.
Yeah, but so what is it that draws you in? Going back to Reddit, like, what is it that draws you in about these?
This is creepy. I don't know how to describe it actually, but they're always like some post that's like, it's always a different thing, like, or a different place. So like the camping stuff, or there was another one. What's the, what are the creepiest like pictures that that are out there? And it's always like a picture of somebody who like right before some big accident or something like that. Or, yeah. Like, it's so staying in there, but only like 30 seconds later, it's 5 minutes later, something crazy happened to them or whatever. But it's always like this, like, maybe it's this like weird, like that they always give you that like that dread feeling, or like that feeling that you don't get, maybe it's because we're like so desensitized to everything that when you get you're getting there and you feel a little scared, right. You're like you're feeling something. It's like when I eat spicy food. eat
Yeah.
spicy food because your body like built all the endorphins get released, right?
Yeah.
And
So
you want to keep doing it.
yeah. So there's a channel that you need to check out then if you like this stuff. That I watch all the time. And it's got the dumbest name. Absolute dumbest name. But I love it to death. And it's kind of like it's almost like a top 10, but there's never really like just 10. Sometimes it's like 8, sometimes it's 12, but it's called Slapped Ham.
That's the dumb name.
Yeah. It's this Australian guy named Callan.
Yeah.
And it's a YouTube, like he stands in front of a green screen to do his intro and outro. But he does his voiceover, but he just digs up like creepy footage, creepy, like photographs. He'll talk about, like the Mothman, or, like the Jersey Devil. Like he'll do like 15 minutes on just that and like talk about some sightings and things. If you like X-Files, if you like the creepy, like Reddit, like threads like that, I think you'd love this channel, honestly.
It's fun. I like this because it's like all this stuff about the what X-Files is based off of.
Exactly. And
I like what some of the stories they used.
And I watch it late at night. Like usually like I'll be laying in bed, like we'll have the laptop up or something. And like, I'll pull up like 2 or 3 of them. And it's like some of the stuff you're like, whatever. I could easily see how that's being faked. Some of the stuff you're like, ooh, okay. No, what? That's a little weird. Like it's really cool. And it's not just like it's ghosts, it's UFOs, it's cryptids. He runs the gamut. And I think the great thing about his channel is it's fun. He's obviously like, the YouTuber. And he's got like some of the things that a lot of them do, but at the same time, you can tell like he really is into all of this. And so you can it's infectious almost.
Right.
Like you're like, I get into it because he's into it. And like the way he describes things.
He's like that. He's like that person that really is really good at telling a story enough that he gets you excited for it.
Exactly.
It's such a good way because like, I wish I could do that. I wish I could relay that excitement to get people to be into it like that. But I love
don't sell yourself short. I think you're pretty good at it. I do.
All right, I guess. Yeah, Fidel is really good at it.
Yeah, but
that's something a fun channel. That's like the kind of stuff that I like. That kind of stuff because it's like there's like that's that real thing, or like we're like it always there was one you reminded me of. It was like it's like videos or pictures of like these creatures or whatnot. And one was like this video of this like sea creature or mermaid or something caught on camera, but it was like really grainy. Whatever it was sitting on a rock, and then it like does this really weird movement back into the water. Like and you're just like, what the heck was that? Like
I think I know the video you're talking about. Yeah.
It's like sitting there for a few seconds in the rock and suddenly it just like dives off into the water.
Yeah, it like looked back or something, like notices and dives off. Yeah. Like it definitely it's that
and whether it's real or not, which I don't know what the story was about that one. Right. That sounds like a really fun podcast itself to do. It's like weird videos like that. Anyways, the video is done in this way that's like just super like creepy, and it just like it makes you like it's like the heebie-jeebies. Like get the
even if it's fake, it's a good fake.
Yeah.
Like there's that it's a film term called mise en scène, where you can like I can't remember what the actual like French is, what it translates to, but it's like basically like you can feel the film, like the feeling that it gives you, or like best example, and I'm pretty sure I've told you about it, is like the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Like
oh my god,
you can smell that film, you can taste it. It's
that movie. Funny, it's funny that you say that. There's another one, The Hills Have Eyes.
Yes,
those movies just the thing about them is you're right. Like the thing, but it was more so because it could be a thing that really happens. They're just like people driving, and then they just get like somebody like causes their car to break down, whatever, or their car breaks down, like you're out in the middle somewhere and get picked up by a bunch of crazy people. But it's like felt real enough And that right there was like the line between me feeling like, oh, it's just a movie, and
Mhm.
me being like, I don't want to drive in the
Yeah.
woods ever again or out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, like and it's those things like that. Yeah, and like if like a 10-second video can do that, oh my god, like that's a good video. Like
Oh
whether
yeah.
it's fake or not, like yeah. Um oh my god, yeah. I could talk about this stuff all day. Like it's
There's a whole thing though. So I pulled up a list real fast.
sure.
There's a one that this is one of the things I wanted to bring up was there's a whole list of things like what is the creepiest thing you've ever heard a child say? Some of these are really
Oh.
weird, like because kids say weird stuff anyways, or they'll repeat what they heard from somebody else or on TV,
Right.
And people
Or
have had
is
their kids come up and like say what is like a threatening thing. It's just they were just mimicking what they heard something else say, or
right.
the way they'll say it, or there's ones where like people are like, my kid said something about they're channeling some past relative or something like that, and there's just so weird because it's kids. You don't
Yeah.
expect kids to be doing this kind of stuff, and they're just saying these things, and you're like, that feels so uneasy.
Yeah, you're
So
just like I know children. Like I have relatives who have kids. Like
right.
what if they say something like that to me?
Yeah, it's like you're sleeping or you're laying down on the couch, the kid just like walks up to you and just says some creepy stuff like, hey, it's gonna be okay, don't worry. And you're like, what are you talking about? Like, what?
I would like if I woke up and like I want to have kids in the future one day. Like if I woke up and like my future child is staring at me with like their big kid eyes, because like all kids have like those creepy big eyes at some point in their life, like, and they're just staring there and they just go, "It's gonna be okay." I would pee myself on the couch, like,
Yeah.
or in the like. I no shame in saying that. I would just be like, "Oh, I'm gonna die."
Right.
I'm gonna.
There's a whole thread about those stories specifically. That'll just give you the feels. There's another
Oh
one
my
that's
god.
oh, here's a great one. Truckers. What's the weirdest, creepiest, scariest, most what the heck thing you've ever seen on the road or at a stop?
Oh,
That's got to be some
ooh,
messed
that's
up
gotta be
stuff.
yeah.
What is the
I'm
most
in,
scary, disturbing, unsettling footage available online? There's some actual like, and some of this stuff is actual footage, like actually happened
yeah.
footage.
Oh
Some
my god.
really weird. There's the Max Headroom TV hijack
Yeah. Yeah.
situation.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's like it's like iconic. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Max
like
Headroom
back
thing was.
yeah, for anybody who doesn't know, I'm glad that you know about this. I'm not the only one who has like this weird knowledge of random
No.
things.
I used to like I used to look for this stuff, man. Like it
Yeah,
was.
same.
Yeah.
In 1987, is in November 22nd, 1987. There's a television station or two television stations that got hijacked for like what 25 seconds, and then another one for 90 seconds.
Yeah.
And
Not
it was
long.
these like people who, and they never figured out who it was. I don't think they
No, they still
hijacked.
to this day.
Yeah, it was crazy because it seems like that's impossible these days
Right.
to do that because everybody can find you wherever you are. And so these people hijacked the news broadcasts. And another one was I think they were both news broadcasts, and it was just this creepy video of a guy wearing a Max Headroom mask
Mm-hmm.
and just doing some weird stuff.
Yeah, he's like dancing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like just
Like-
a close up on his face, like in
Yep,
in the
and
mask.
he's getting hit with a fly swatter.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
just like stopped. And that
Yeah,
was it.
it like happened twice and then never again.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
It-
it's
It was so unsettling.
mm-hmm.
It's so weird. And when you watch it, it's just like it reminds me of the scariest part of the movie The Ring is the video in it, right? It gives
Right.
you that same kind of like uneasy feeling, even though it's just
Mhm.
some guy dancing with a bad camera and bad
Right.
microphone and with a mask on, but you're just like,
And it's like all because of the like hijacked signal, it's like all like interlaced and grainy, and it's I think the scariest part about it is like the fact that we still have no idea why they did it. Like
yeah, I don't remember ever catching any anything about what actually was going on other than here's what happened.
Yeah, like
And that's unsettling.
yeah, from everything I know about like that story is like, because that's like one of the big ones like that a lot of people remember, and I mean I don't even think I was. Oh, you said it was 1982, right?
87.
87. I wasn't even born yet. Like, I was born years later, like in 92, but like people like still remember it, and they're like, you like, hey, like you could say, do you remember Max Headroom? And they're like, do you mean like the actual like show, or do you mean like the broadcast interruption thing? And you're like, oh, so like
Right.
it's like one of the ones in like the recent memory. And it's because we don't know about it, and like it's creepy, and I'm getting chills just thinking about it.
That's
Like,
the thing. That's all like the chills thing. And actually, as we're talking about this, I'm wondering how many. Like it seemed, I don't know how easy or what you needed to do it. It seems like you probably have to have some pretty good equipment, which I would assume set you apart pretty easily about who's owning that equipment. But just one of those things. Wondering why that didn't happen at a much larger rate. Like you can go and I'm sure you can find a whole bunch of incidents that happened, but like it seemed like, I guess that was just the big barrier was the equipment that you needed and the anonymity from people knowing that you have and use it.
Right. Cause like you used to be able to do like public access, and like you could, like that was like one of the whole things about like Wayne's World, right? And like why it worked as like a skit in a movie was because people could get public access, and like they could get the camera from their station and like take it home and do like the basement show like Wayne's World did. Like that used to be a thing. YouTube. Yeah. Like that's the thing that you used to be able to do. And it's like, so did they do that, or did they have like, did they just like get lucky and like it was something, or like, but and then like nobody ever talks about it though. So you're
if
like,
they had that, you'd be checked out, right? So somebody would have to have a trail somewhere. You would expect. It just seems so crazy the amount of stuff that would have to be kept secret.
Oh my god! And like, there's stuff like that, like the radio call-ins and stuff for like some of these shows, like where, and there was one I don't, and I as I've gotten like more like I've looked into things and like and gotten more internet savvy, let me say, I there's less validity that I put into this specific one, but there was a radio show that was hosted by this guy named Art. And that I remember like early YouTube, there was a video that circulated around of a call-in from like early 2000s, maybe late like 90s, of a guy calling into this show. And if it's a fake, it is such a well-acted fake that like it's like a 10-minute video, and like it's this guy calling in about like basically like he used to work in this facility that he knows aliens are coming. They've already infiltrated the government. And
what? Really?
Yeah. Like if I can find this video, I will send it to you. And like, I will put a link in like a YouTube description for when I post this episode. I saw that early YouTube and I was freaked. It's like because the conviction in the guy's voice, where the line cuts out all of these things, and like he's talking about like I only have like a couple of minutes because they're gonna triangulate me, like all these things. And like again, as I've gotten like older and more internet savvy, the more I'm like, well, this guy, like this show that the guy was calling into was like all about this stuff. Like it was like a whole like UFOs, aliens, like kind of show.
Somebody wanted to call in with their 5 minutes or 15 minutes of fame kind of thing and just be like, here's my story.
Exactly. But this guy, like, if that's what he was doing, he sold it. I mean, it is like, again, even today, like, and if you're not thinking about it and you just like went down that rabbit hole of like Reddit or YouTube or anything, and you just stumbled across this video, like, chills. Again, I'm getting chills. I'm getting chills just thinking about it, because the memory of it from when I first watched it was so visceral. I'm just like, oh man, we're all gonna die. Like aliens are out there right now, like in the government.
We get though, like the more dismissive, we're like, somebody faked it, because like when you're younger, like Why? You don't even think that people are faking things. You
Yeah,
don't
why
even,
would you?
why would you make a video? That has to be real. These videos
Right.
have to be real. Why is somebody making this up? Why would somebody make this up? And then like you start to grow older, you start becoming more cynical, and you're like, it's not real. That's not real at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah. And again, like the more like research you do into like some of these things, like again, like I used to be really into like the whole ghost hunters idea and things like that. And, you know, as a writer and stuff, I also look into things and like, you know, if I'm going to put something in a movie, I want to try to find like factual things or, you know, cause that's just the type of writer I am. Like I love to use my imagination. I love to branch out, but like if I'm going to write a movie that takes place in the real world, like I want to use real world things because I think it enhances the experience. And like I used to want to write like horror movies and things like that, and so I would delve really deep into these like these worlds about like, okay, so you're using this kind of equipment, and like the more I learned, the more often than not I'm like, okay, but this is fake because, or I can pick out how this could be fake or could be natural. Like went down that whole path of like debunking until I can't debunk anymore. And then if I can't find the logical reasons, I'm like, that's cause for me to pay like a little bit more attention of like, that's possible, you know?
Right.
And
I like
like,
those, I like stories like that though, because like the grounded in reality thing. I don't know if I just, it's really interesting to me when, because it feels a lot closer to home.
yeah.
It's actually funny because this is on the topic wavelength. I was watching something last night that was doing a review, and it was talking about the original Ghostbusters movie a little bit about how that movie felt a lot closer to, you know, to home because they did a really good job of making it seem like that stuff was actually possible. In a number of ways, like some guys who like have this stuff and they don't really know what they're messing with, but they're pretty smart. So they put together these packs and they really did all, you know, this stuff. And they have like this whole, like close to like, it's almost like this, factory kind of feel when they're in there just doing everything with their,
Right.
the containment facility, all this kind of stuff. So yeah, no, like that, I really appreciate when there's that whole grounded in reality thing, because that always gives me more of a reaction to it, because I'm actually feel like I'm not completely disconnected from what's happening.
Right. And I think if you're going to do like especially like a horror movie or anything with like that kind of subject matter, you have to have that. Otherwise it's like, I mean, any movie's going to have their suspension of disbelief. Like you have to forgive it of a few things because it's a movie, right?
Right.
But,
you're gonna be like, you're not gonna be scared of Jason because, you know, like, why would I be on a spaceship? That's not gonna happen to me. This seems totally fake. But then when he's like coming out of the lake in a camp somewhere, you're like, oh.
Right. You know, and like the first Friday the 13th was like, no, I could, yeah, like she's mad. She's, you know, like the villain in that one is so, you know, it's been long enough. I'm going to say the mother in that one. Spoilers be, you know, whatever on that one. But
the funny thing too is that it didn't, you know, that, and you know this is that the image that you get of Jason, the iconic Jason image didn't happen until what, the third movie?
The third movie, yeah.
Like the end of, or no, at one point, because he grabbed somebody else's mask.
Right.
The first one was his mother.
Yeah,
the
first
one was him, but he wore a bag over his head.
Yep. And then the third one. Yep. But yeah, like it's such a real thing because you're like, she's obviously like she's got some issues and she needs to work through them, but you can see where somebody would go down that path and like would blame these, you know, teenage counselors who aren't paying attention to her kid. And it's like this justification almost. Like it's not right, but you can see where it would happen.
Yep.
And it makes you internally go like, I mean, would I be any different? Like if this happened to me, would I, you know, and it gives you empathy with the villain. And again, that's a whole topic for like another episode too, is like, Psycho does that perfectly. Like, with Norman Bates and, literally like step by step, you can track the moment where you start to feel for him, even though you know he's a killer.
Right.
Like it's fascinating to delve into.
They like they get you, they connect you to it. And then I think that's why I personally, though, I'm like a fan of Friday the 13th
Mhm.
until it started getting really weird.
Yeah.
Um, but like I always like that series over Nightmare on Elm Street because Nightmare on Elm Street just never felt like. I mean, yeah, it's like it's completely fake. It's all in dreams, and this is obviously something that does not happen.
Right.
So it was never really anything that interested me. But it's also maybe the reason why I enjoy reading nonfiction over fiction
Mhm.
a lot more. But I like Friday the 13th, which is obviously fiction, but it felt like it could be a story that somebody
Yeah.
told.
It's grounded in reality. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it sounds like a campfire story that you could have, gone out camping when you were little and heard. Like the guy with the hook, or the guy with the hockey mask. You know, um, whereas I agree with you. Like Nightmare on Elm Street is a classic, and I think for that, like the fear is more the fear of the unknown, and like the fear of um, his like literal like in the dream world he is like God in essence. He can do anything to you if you're asleep, but it doesn't that became famous because of Freddy, and like
Right.
he was this like iconic villain, not because like do you like you don't know anybody from the rest of the story, but with Friday the 13th, like the mom, all these people, and it lingers with you because of that. And yeah, like it's when movies do things like that, and I think it's a bar you have to hit. You have to have that reality somewhere in there for people to latch onto. Otherwise, they're just kind of floating in the wind.
Right. Or at least you
Right.
need a character who is like you, right? That's like
Yeah.
like like your anchor character who's like, they don't know what's happening. They don't feel like they're too further ahead of you. You can feel like you
Mhm.
really relate to this person, and then you can at least hold on to them as they experience it, and you can kind of experience it
Right.
together.
They're your surrogate
Right.
into this world. Exactly. Well, it is, we've done a longer episode than normal. And I don't want to keep you too late. So I figure maybe
Listen, I could do like a 4-hour podcast. It's probably not
yeah.
great. I shouldn't do that, but we could do that. I just sit there
Okay.
and talk.
Maybe. Well,
But not this time.
no, yeah, you've got streaming to do tomorrow.
True.
But let's toss that out to let's toss that out to the good beans out there who are listening. Like, do you want longer versions, or are you happy with like the hour to an hour and a half format? Like, let us know. Email us at theroasto@gmail.com and let us know. I'm excited for when we get our first question, when we get some feedback. We had a few comments on episode 2's video. It was really cool to see. I'm excited for that to keep going. But before we wrap up, I had a new way I kind of wanted to end the episodes, so that way we're not just like,
Coffee shots,
okay,
espresso shots.
yeah, oh, that would be amazing, but maybe not tonight. But maybe we could call them our coffee shots, our little shots of espresso, something to keep us going, especially now when things are weird still, and a lot of people are still stuck, and maybe having a hard time finding some pep, or just something good to think about. I like our coffee shots. Maybe that's what we'll call them. But just sharing something awesome that's happened in between recordings. Maybe it's a quick little story, or like something that happened. Like I got a new phone and it's a really cool phone. It's exciting, for these reasons and stuff like that. I give you an example. I'll do my coffee shot first, real quick. Just something that I think was really awesome. First of all, is obviously today it didn't happen, but the SpaceX launch is going on. I think that's really freaking cool.
Yep.
I tuned into that, for a little bit today. Bummed that they didn't actually get to launch, but they did it for
Saturday,
good reasons. The weather. So Saturday, fingers crossed. But on a more personal level, it's been a weird time. You're not getting to get outside that much, but we actually got lucky, and we were at the grocery store the other day, and we saw they were selling this charcoal grill for like $30 at Fred Meyer, right? Just a small like tabletop grill, something that you wouldn't, think anything of. It's not like a big master cooker 9 million or whatever they sell nowadays.
Sure.
Just a simple charcoal grill.
Yeah.
And we're like, you know what? We've got a little extra cash because obviously we're not going out. We've put money into savings, which is a nice feeling. Let's pick this up. Let's treat ourselves a little bit. We got that. We got some hot dogs. We chopped up some veggies. And over the weekend, we sat outside and it was raining on, outside, but the patio above us covered our little like porch patio area. And we lit up the grill and just grilled hot dogs and stuff. And it was the nostalgia that waved over me in that moment of like, ooh, I remember that smell from when I was a kid. That's a good, like, oh, like that. It was an awesome feeling to just be like, you know what? Even though everything's weird, everything's crazy out there, there's hope. I can relax for a little bit, just enjoy it, and then we ended up getting our mics out and recording our podcast, Shannon and I, like I mentioned earlier, but we did it outside and, there's still some rain coming down. It's just a really cool night,
Good grounding moment in a crazy time to have something that you used to do or you used to remember and the smells.
Yeah. And it was just
actually experience that for a little bit.
Yeah, it was an awesome moment. It was calm. It was, it wasn't huge. It's not like it was going to, life-changing event or anything like that, but it was just a nice thing. And if you're in an area where you can go to Fred Meyer or your local grocery store and you can find a grill like this, don't spend a lot of money, but if you can find a $30 grill and some charcoal and you can sit on your back patio and just grill up some hot dogs or some burgers, man, I would recommend doing it because that is an awesome feeling just to be able to sit there and just chat and hey, get you outside for a couple of minutes, right?
There you go. Yeah. Outside's good.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's funny. So that actually is funny because the thing that has been nice, or at least nicer, to the point where I've been feeling really cooped up. So I just jumped outside and was able to get to walk a little bit or get some coffee in the morning or take a little bit of a walk and like a mile, maybe something like that around. And because it's nice enough to do that, now, even if it is a little bit light rain, but it's been nice to get out because it feels like I'm not stuck inside a little tiny boxed room and not seeing the sky. So it's wonderful to feel. It feels a lot better to do that. And I've also, funny enough, I was watching with Ash silly YouTube videos, and we found a couple channels, and I don't think I've ever laughed as much as I have about stupid YouTube channels or videos, and then I woke up the next day and I felt a little bit more like a bit of a weight was lifted because it had something to sit down and laugh uncontrollably at for a little bit.
Nice.
So it was nice to have a human laugh reaction to something to, get away all those feelings of I'm stuck inside. I really want to be outside. I want to do this or do that, and I can't, kind of things.
Right.
So it's good to find something dumb to laugh at.
Yeah. And, if you're listening out there, if you have suggestions or maybe you have a coffee shot of your own, let us know in the comments. And, this will go up on YouTube. We are also available pretty much across the board on any podcasting service that you could dream of now. I mean, we're on Spotify, we're on Apple Podcast. I am waiting to hear back on TuneIn Alexa, but that one should be up hopefully within the next couple of weeks. We're on Pandora of all places, pretty much anywhere, Podcast Addict, the works. You can find us. Did you have anything else before we signed off today?
I hope that everybody enjoys their week, next couple of weeks. So it's getting nicer, and hopefully people are able to get out, do a bit more, and safely, so they can start feeling a bit better about being stuck inside.
That's I like that. That's good. I wholeheartedly agree. Where can everybody find you, my friend?
You can find me at twitch.tv/Darkosto when I live stream, or on Twitter at DarkostoTV.
Awesome. And you can find me pretty much on any social at at Jackie Brink Art. That's Jackie with an IE. I've also been dabbling in streaming here recently, doing some art stream stuff. Nothing consistent, but if you ever want to go to twitch.tv/ImaginaryFriendJack, I might be there. If not, I'm hosting the wonderful Darkosto whenever he is live. So click that link and just go support Darkosto's channel. It's a fun stream. I know I'm probably sounding a little bit biased, but you will definitely get a laugh. You will definitely have some fun watching, especially when you have Bentley on.
You will feel feelings. And it's good because it's hard to feel feelings these days.
Yes, it is. Well, from myself, from Darkosto, and from everyone in our circles, we hope you are all doing well, staying safe, and thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time.
Bye.